What's up guys, it's Mike for SimRacing604, and some of you may remember that last year I made a video called the 604 Festival of Speed or something like that, and the theme then was showcasing my 50 favorite cars in Assetto Corsa. But for my second Festival of Speed, I've decided to do something different. I wanted to know roughly how the various major car classes we see in sim racing stack up against each other in terms of speed. So for example, how fast is a modern GT3 car versus a classic Group C car? Or how fast is a 750 horsepower Lamborghini road car versus a 160 horsepower Formula 4 car? That's what I'm doing here, ranking a bunch of different cars based on my times at the Goodwood hill climb. I'm no alien level driver, so as always, please take these results with a grain of salt. And just as a reference for how fast I am, or maybe how fast I'm not, you'll see that my time with the Volkswagen IDR is a few tenths off the real world mark at this track. So to keep things interesting, I've decided to arrange the clips in the same order that I drove them in, which was completely random. And also I'll note that the default setups were used in most cases, and I only took a few runs with each car. So with that out of the way, let's enjoy these cars. So we'll start things off here with the Lanzo V12, better known in the real world as the Lamborghini Murcielago GT1. Huge amounts of horsepower and a tremendous sound out of this thing, by the way. Doesn't have the paddle shifters like a GT3 car, so it does give up a bit of speed there. And it takes a bit of effort to get the wheels locked on corner exit, but once it does, this thing really blasts in a straight line. And rounding the final corner here. So first car through is just under 45 seconds. Next up, my favorite car in the world, the McLaren P1, representing hypercars here. You can see that rear wing immediately pop up. Obviously, being a road car, it doesn't have quite the capabilities of a race car. You have to brake a bit earlier into the corners, but once you get that straight line speed engaged, there's not many cars in the world that can match it. You can see that just unbelievable speed. But again, you got to take out a lot of that speed very early, specifically coming into this left-hander here. And then through this fast chicane, carry as much speed as possible, clip the inside there. One more medium speed right-hander, and then the long left. We'll see where we cross, obviously, past that 45-second mark. So about 3.5 seconds behind that GT1 car. Pretty impressive for a non-race car. The 919 Evo here, this is not the same car that competed at Le Mans. This is a one-off, just meant to dominate tracks, and it did. It held the record at Spa for quite a while. Ridiculous amounts of performance out of this thing. This is, as the name suggests, just an evolution of the Porsche 919 LMP1 car. You can see that time is absolutely ripping through this course. Crossing the line just over 37 seconds. That is 7.5 seconds at least clear of the GT1 car. Very impressive. GT2 car, you would expect the GT2 car to come in somewhere behind the GT1 car, but ahead of the GT3. Generally, the lower the GT number, the faster the car, although that doesn't always bear out. But this 458 GT2, one of the best looking cars in sim racing in my opinion. I love the looks of this thing. Another sequential stick. So it does give up a tiny bit of time in that regard versus a paddle shifted car. Quick through the chicane. Slow down a bit for the right-hander, and then should be flat out the rest of the way. Most of the race cars will be flat out around this left-hander. And crossing the line slower than the GT1 as we would expect, about a second short. The GT3 car now. This is obviously the most popular car in sim racing. Or most popular class, at least, in sim racing. This one has a sound mod by SHR Modding. Sounds tremendous. Good amounts of grip. It's got ABS and traction control. It really helps keep that power down as long as possible. Came in around 46 seconds for the GT2. Let's see the GT3. Definitely slower, about a second slower than the GT2. So we got about a 1 second separation between each of the GT classes. And next up, a road legal car. I saw one of these not too long ago, actually. 570 horsepower in this Porsche, excuse me, this Ferrari 458. Still an extremely fast car compared to what most of us would drive, though it won't be able to keep up with the race cars. And let's see what it can do through the fast chicane here. A little bit of slip on exit, nothing too bad. And around the final corner, high time is past the 50-second mark. Almost 51 seconds. So bottom of the list so far. And the somewhat controversial Formula E car. A lot of people don't like these. Let's see how fast it stacks up. Or how it stacks up in terms of speed. Obviously not well loved for its sound. But being an open wheeler, it has good turn response, good turn-in response, that is. And decent on the exit. And quite slow around that right-hander there. You can see that time creeping. Is it going to be slower than the Ferrari 458? Yes, it will, only by a little bit. That's going to be bottom of the list so far. Then we have a Formula 4 car. Under 200 horsepower here, but a very, very light vehicle. You can see how small it is compared to everything we've seen so far. But again, those open wheel characteristics. Just way faster around a corner than it should be. It seems impossible. These things pull insane G's even at this level. Obviously nowhere near Formula 1 level, but still very, very capable around the corners. Let's see how it handles this fast chicane here. Good amount of speed. No breakaway speed on the corner exit, of course, with that low horsepower engine. But still kept very stable through that fast chicane. Around this long left-hander, struggling, needs to get that power down, and it is going to be slower than the Formula E car, so this will land at the bottom. And here we have a real show car, 750 horsepower. This is not the SVJ version, this is the SV version. Quite understeery characteristics. It is a heavy car, but there's no denying that 750 horsepower engine. Little slide around that first right-hander. Try and clip the apex here, get good amount of momentum carried into the straightaway, and this is where you'll see this car shine. Blasting, not quite as fast as the P1, but still very, very fast. Braking nice and early, trying to avoid that understeer. Through the chicane, a lot slower than those open wheelers we've seen recently. Time creeping up already past the 40-second mark. Can it beat that Ferrari? 48, 49. Just barely ahead of that Ferrari. About 0.4 seconds separating 750 horsepower from 570. And now we go into sort of a middle ground here. This beautiful Viper ACR. Coming in around the 650 horsepower mark. This is actually a H-pattern shifter, one of the few in the field that you'll see today. But even with an H-pattern shifter, this car very, very fast, excellent handling characteristics. One of the fastest American road cars ever. Very fast in, through, and out of that chicane. Around the right-hander here, carrying a good amount of speed. Now it's a sprint to the finish. Maybe a little lift around this left-hander. Let's see if it can split the 750 and the 570. And it does perfectly. Next up, LMP1. So previously we saw the Porsche 919 that was unrestricted. That was a one-off, just track machine. This is the homologated LMP1 version that competed at Le Mans. Took a lot of grass around that corner there. Good line, carried a lot of speed. This thing is absolutely flying. Hybrid powertrain turned up. Blasting through that chicane around the right-hander here, carrying a good amount of speed, huge exit speed. You can see that time, it's doing excellent here. And under 40 seconds, wow. Huge, so only bested by the unrestricted version of the same class of car. Now we get into Formula 1 for the first time. This is, of course, the famous F2004. This is the Kunos version, big V10 powering this thing around the track. You can see that corner speed, not even matched by the unrestricted LMP1. This thing's so low, so wide, and that center of gravity so tight to the middle. 30 seconds around the second to last corner, and here we go. 36, the mid 36s, that is tops on the list. Faster than that Porsche 919 Evo. And next up, famous car. This actually holds the real world record for this track. Came in below the 40-second mark in real life. It's version by Element 1999. I'm not able to push quite as hard as I'd like to. It's very fast around the corners, great acceleration, but then right around the 200km/h mark, it really seems to roll off, and I find that it's hard to put in real-world matching times in this car, but I'd say it's quite close. That giant wing. This is a Pikes Peak car here. And around, will it beat 40 seconds? Not quite. So about About 0.4 or 0.5 seconds off the real world mark, coming in 4th place on my list so far. And then another one of my favorite cars, this is the Pagani Zonda R. Held the Nordschleife lap record for a very long time. Way ahead of its time in terms of performance. You can see taking a lot of grass on the inside of that right-hander. Love the looks of this thing. This is just a track beast. Uncompromising. Mercedes V12 in the back. Extremely quick through here. Just one more slowdown for this render. Should be flat out around this left. You can see that time. It's doing great. 45.367. That should place it kind of mid-pack. Yep. Yeah, looking good. Faster than a GT2 car. That's pretty amazing. The best sounding car in sim racing here. This is the SHR modding sound mod for this Porsche 911 RSR. This is the 2018 version. It's an update to the Kunos version. United Racing Design did the update. So the GTE class, obviously very, very fast. Should come in ahead of the GT3s. A little bit of smoke there. Trying to get the car settled, braking into that left-hander. Good straight line speed as well. It's just ripping through this course. For a GT car, this is doing excellent. Let's see where it finishes. Just a shade above 45 seconds. So it was bested by the GT1 car, not by much though. And now on to the the fastest circuit racing car ever built. This is the current generation of Formula One, in this case the 2020 Formula Hybrid, styled like Lewis Hamilton's car. It's on the medium tires here. Could be a lot faster with the softs. A little lock up there. No ABS or traction control here. But still just ferocious, cutting up this track. Look at that time. Just mega. One final sprint to the finish here. And under 35 seconds. That's going to be comfortably at the top of the list. Second and a half faster than the 2004 car. On now, this will be quite a shift in performance. This is the GT4 car, in this case the Maserati GT4. Excellent sounding car, although the performance will be down here comparatively at Goodwood. These are quite heavy cars, a lot of power, but quite heavy. Takes a lot more care and attention under braking than the GT3s. And as you can imagine, being that heavy, the acceleration is not what it would be in one of the upper GT classes. And final push to the finish here. You can see it's already over 45 seconds. This is going to be comfortably over 50. And just about 52 seconds here for the Maserati GT4. Bottom of the list right now. Going back almost 20 years now for the Bradley Project 8, better known in the real world as the Bentley Speed 8. Huge expectations here. You can see how wide and how low this car is. Huge amounts of power as well. This thing should tear up Goodwood. Very late braking into this left-hander. Little lock-up, nothing too bad. Should be able to rip through, and it does. That chicane, no sweat. Slow down a bit for this right-hander, gain traction, then one final sprint here. Still under 40 seconds. And I've split this up now. Top 10 on your left there. That comes in sort of, comes in at number 6. Splitting the top 10. Formula 3 car. This car, by the way, is free on Race Department. Make sure you add this to Assetto Corsa if you don't already have it. Huge performance jump from Formula 4 to Formula 3 here. Obviously, this will not match the Formula 1 car, but still expecting big things here. Lots of traction. Good amounts of power. Extremely late braking. Wow, that was late. Doesn't have the breakaway speed we saw in that 2020 Formula Hybrid a few runs ago. Still very good though. And the final sprint up the hill here. Just a shade, a tiny bit over 42 seconds. That's good enough to put it into the top 10, replacing the Bradley Project 8 at number 6. On now to the Formula 2, so one step up from the Formula 3 we just saw. This is the 2020 version, so you can see those giant 18-inch wheels. Some people think it looks goofy. I kind of like it. Much better straight line speed than the Formula 3. Bit harder to control with all that power though. A little touch on the brakes, get it around this corner and then blast just past 35 seconds now. This is going to be a good time, should be under 40. Only just by about half a second. Good enough for number 4. Wow, faster than the LMP 1. And then the Group C, one of the most loved cars in automotive history. It's Mercedes-Benz C9. Love to hear that engine roar. Very fast. If there was a longer straightaway, this thing would shine even more. Huge top speed in these Group C cars. Bit down on time compared to the Formula cars we've just seen, but still very impressive. Just now passing 40 seconds. One final go here to the finish. And just a shade above 45 seconds. That should be top 10. Yep, just at the bottom of the top 10. And this will be the final car here. This is the 1990 Formula 1 car. The sim racing model is the RSS V12 by Race Sim Studio. Obviously that V12 engine powering this thing around. Naturally aspirated. And just as you would expect, it is having a tremendous run. It's very quick. Little shaky there under acceleration. Through that chicane like it was a straight line. Just now passing 30 seconds. How fast can it reach that finish line? It'll be slow of the F2004. By a fair bit, actually. So it comes in behind the 919 Evo. So that's it, guys. That's the final rankings. Enjoy this onboard of the 2020 F1.